This is Jon Gilbert, and you are experiencing social distancing sponsored by Suddenlink. It's hard to believe that today is our 13th episode. We have a great guest with us today. We're honored to have my friend, a colleague, a college lecturer, and a Hall of Famer, Dr. Gary Overton. Coach, welcome to today's social distancing.
Well, thanks so much, John.
Coach, a lot of topics to cover today. One of the things I want to talk about, you grew up in Hosky, North Carolina, just a little north of us, and a Hosky has been labeled as the only one. Talk a little bit about a Hosky and growing up there.
Well, it's certainly a small town in eastern North Carolina, and East Carolina University was founded off of a lot of students in the eastern part of the state. And so I think most all small towns in eastern North Carolina know and have a big tradition and history with ECU. But as far as it being a small town, it certainly emblematic of many others throughout this section.
Coach, you earned a bachelor's degree and a master's degree from East Carolina several years ago. What spurred you to return to East Carolina to get your doctorate in higher ed administration in 2001?
Well, after finishing my coaching career, I had several options and also several decisions to make. And I always wanted a doctoral degree, but one of the many reasons was to go into athletic administration. Something I'm very proud of is that I did finish that terminal degree, and as well as my coaching career as well.
And I know with that doctorate you have taught as well. What subjects have you taught?
Well, I was in the College of Health and Human Performance, and many physical education classes, even a few on the graduate level.
Well, we're excited that you have that. And do you ever get offended when people don't call you doctor?
Not at all. I guess for so many years, my coaching background lended Coach O, as we all know about that. But more important, as I said, I'm very proud of what I've been a part of in athletics, and proud of that doctoral degree, but still I prefer Coach O.
Well, we love calling you Coach O as well, but it's impressive to have a doctorate as well. You were elected to the ECU Hall of Fame in 2004. You spent 13 seasons as the skipper of the Pirates baseball team, and you're the school's all-time winning coach with 427 victories. Do you remember every one of those victories, and can you name them?
Not at all. Remember selected ones, obviously, and what's the old saying? We remember the losses more so than the wins. But
yeah.
The championships certainly were very special among those games played.
Coach, what 3 to 4 really stand out for you?
Well, I think championships, conference championships that sent us on into the NCAA tournament. We had some with very special teams. The 1990 team was outstanding. The 1986 team was very good as well. But winning those conference titles and those games, those bring back a lot of memories.
Coach, I want to jump away from East Carolina just for a second. You've obviously been here a very long time, and you've seen a lot of sporting events take place on this campus. In your mind, what East Carolina teams and then the opponents, no matter what the sport is, have you seen come into Greenville that you've been impressed with?
Are you asking about the opposing teams?
Opposing teams or opposing players, like you've seen an opposing player, and it doesn't matter what sport it is, just historically speaking.
Yeah, I remember Miami football coming into Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium. Jim Kelly was the quarterback.
Yeah.
That was very special. Um, Several good basketball players have come through. Dwayne Wade with Marquette.
Yep.
He'll leave an image with you as well. And then on the baseball front, I think one of the best baseball players that actually came through was Ron Darling, who played for he was with Yale,
Yeah.
the Ivy League, but he played with the Mets for so long.
Yeah. And then now let's focus back on East Carolina, special performances that you can remember throughout your tenure here, either baseball or other sports.
Well, certain football games just resonate, you might say. The ECU versus Pittsburgh football game, and a game that Jeff Blake was very special in, scoring the 2-point conversion that really propelled us to that number 9 national ranking and the Peach Bowl win eventually. But I think Jeff's performance that day was outstanding. And we can go on and on into other sports. Harold Varner leading the golf team into the national tournament, solidifying a position in a regional at Georgia, which led to the national tournament, which I think was held at Riviera in Los Angeles that year.
Yeah.
That was very special because he was the leader on that team, and he put together some very special rounds to get us there. Things like that are very special.
Any notable student athletes that you think Pirate fans might not realize how good they really were?
Oh, there have been many underrated athletes, I think, to come through ECU. I'm trying to think back to many of our team sports that certain athletes were just really special on those teams. I think one of the most underrated basketball players that we've had here in some time was Lester Lyons, who was just entered the Hall of Fame not long ago.
Yeah.
But Lester was certainly a very good player, another person from Eastern North Carolina as well. But when you look at the sports like tennis, golf, swimming, there have been many that were individuals who carried us to team championships. Even our head swim coach right now, Matt Jabb's a very underrated sprinter on the swim team.
Coach, I want to go back to baseball for a minute. Do you know how many games that you were tossed out as head coach, and was it ever your fault?
I do remember, and the answer was none. I was never thrown out, almost once.
You were never thrown out.
I was never thrown out of a game.
And that, you coached in an era where you could argue balls and strikes. And so I'm impressed that you were never tossed out. I drive by Clark LeClaire daily, and I see what a beautiful facility is. And I know that behind you on the virtual screen, we have Harrington Field, which was in the same spot and made it, a unique venue. Talk about Harrington Field, and then talk about how, Bill Clark, Harvey Lewis, and others made Clark LeClaire a reality.
Well, Harrington Field, back in the 60s when it was built, 60s and 70s, was actually thought of as a very nice venue. But as times changed and as baseball grew and the sport grew into what it is or what it's becoming today, Harrington Field lost a lot of its luster. Size was certainly a detriment, as well as the amenities out to the stadium. It was not really a stadium. It was just what it was called. It was a field. And,
Coach, not to cut you off, but would you say Harrington Field was a pitcher's park or a hitter's park? Do you remember the dimensions?
Oh, very well. No question it was a hitter's park. It was definitely a hitter's park. It was fairly short down the lines and not very long in the gaps. Center field was quite deep. But it was a little above 310. It was like 312 and 315 down the lines. In the gaps, it was only like 360, and that was the power alleys. But center field was close to 400.
And then, Coach, talk a little bit about, how the game has changed from, when you were coaching to now. What differences that you've seen the baseball game evolve as it relates to college baseball?
Yeah. The most important thing in the game today compared to, say, 20, 25 years ago is the depth of squads. The quality of the players are more than one deep. And you very seldom find holes in a lineup anywhere. I think coaches do a tremendous job recruiting, and I think they develop players. And of course, with the quality of strength programs that we see today, the development of players occurs in more ways than just on the field. And with that, the players alone create, when I say depth, I'm just saying a quality team and units as well.
Coach, I know on the uniform front, you're one of the few people that has seen, polyester was in style, it went out of style, and now it came back in style in some forms. You've been a part of quite the change in uniforms as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's the old wool uniforms that actually were not very comfortable to wear, led to polyester, and then you're right, it went out, came back in, and so yeah, there's been a cycle of that.
Coach, you serve on the NCAA Division I Baseball Rules Committee. You also served as a regional tournament director for the NCAA, and I've actually seen you at baseball regionals in the past. Talk about that experience and what you've learned from it.
Well, the NCAA has been very kind to me. I've had the opportunity to serve on the Division I committee, which you said, presently on the Rules Committee. And the interaction with other administrators and other coaches throughout the country is very enlightening to the way they see baseball and the way we adapt to it as well. But as far as the tournament experience, that's second to none, because you not only get to work and view and oversee quality baseball, but you interact with the coaches, the administrators, and the players generally from 4 different institutions and 4 different regions of the country in a lot of cases. So it's very educational in itself.
Coach, you took over the program in 1985. What was the city of Greenville like back then when you came back to take over the program, and how have you seen the city evolve?
Well, it was a much smaller city at that time, and had been. It was a city of about 40,000, 38 to 40,000, and had been that way for quite some time. And then sometime in the early 90s, the growth took place, and it has just evolved into a much, not larger, but a much more encompassing place for all ways of life.
So many things make East Carolina such a special place, and I've enjoyed my 17 months here. But Pirate Nation is really the backbone. You're still around in your role as assistant athletic director and work in our facilities and operations area. What has the relationship been like for you, the athletic department, Greenville, in your tenure here?
Well, it's a very special place. There's no question about that. And not just because I went to school here, and not because that I work here now. It's really interesting to see coaches come in and talk about how they fall in love with this place, and their families really enjoy this place. When coaches have a tendency of leaving, it's almost as if there's some remorse to that because of Greenville, because of the city, and because of the university, and the university as a family. So it has evolved and it's pretty much stayed the course like that during my tenure.
It is a very special community. My family and I, we love living here. I mean, it's a really good place. Coach, a few more baseball questions before we wrap up, and questions about Greenville. So your favorite spot to eat in town?
My favorite spot to eat would be Starlight Cafe.
Yeah, that's a really good spot. I like Starlight as well. Coach, when you were growing up, and I don't know if they do this now with Little League gloves, but back in the day, even when I was growing up, you had a baseball player's name in your glove when you bought it. When I can remember my first glove as a little leaguer, I had Willie McCovey was my first player in my glove. Who was the first player in your glove that you can remember?
Richie Ashburn, Philadelphia Phillies.
And what year would that have been?
Gosh, that would have been, my first glove would have been in the late 50s.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then what would you say, Coach, is your favorite baseball movie?
Either Bull Durham or Field of Dreams, either of the two.
Yeah, but both of them are really good. Your idol growing up?
No question, Mickey Mantle.
Yeah, man, what a great historic player. I love seeing old clips of people from that area. Three things you still like to do today?
Three things. I like to jog in the mornings.
How long are you jogging in the morning?
I go 3 miles.
Man, that's awesome.
Well, I don't know how fast that is, but
that's all right. You're still upright and you're still moving. What are the other two?
Let's see. Well, I don't play golf much anymore, so I can't put that one in there. Yeah. I love coming to work every day. That's a second.
Well, we love having you.
And third, I guess I love attending ECU athletic events because all of the teams and all of the individuals involved with each team are very special.
Yeah. Coach, on bucket list, I know you have traveled a lot. In any places out there that you would like to visit?
Gosh, you have me on that one. In my travels with the NCAA, you're right. I have been to many places I wanted to see. Never been to the. I have been to the Pacific Northwest, but haven't been up in the Montana, Idaho, Dakotas region. So I would like to see those.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We went last summer. It is spectacular up there. Coach, what three things would you say are uniquely Eastern North Carolina?
Well, I'd like to say barbecue, but I'm sure I would have some people refute that.
No, barbecue's on the list.
Yeah, I think Southern slang would have to be another, and third. Hot August days.
Yeah, those are three Eastern North Carolina things, and I agree with what you said. Going back to your running, I've heard that you do like to run, and somebody said that you've only missed like 3 days of running in the last 15 years. Is that true?
Yes, sir. It's something I'm very proud of. That it's been hard at times. Sometimes when you don't feel up to the task, you still have to push yourself forward. But yes, that's true.
And then what have you done like when it's a bad weather day? Are you just toughing it out in the bad weather?
Have to, yes.
So that's impressive, Coach. That is really good. Any other last things? I'm looking at my notes here. Coach, anything, what message would you like to say to Pirate Nation during this time?
Well, stay safe, be strong, keep a very positive mentality. I know things are not as we all would like for them to be right now, but we're all in this together, and we're all going to come out of it stronger. And we as a Pirate Nation love all of you, and we know what the Pirate Nation thinks of ECU. So just bear with it for a short while longer, and we'll all be back stronger.
Coach, I can't thank you enough for your service. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I know Pirate Nation is going to enjoy watching this as well. For Dr. Gary Overton, I'm Jon Gilbert. You've experienced social distancing sponsored by Suddenlink. Go Pirates.